Hello friends, welcome back to the Power BI world. In our last video, we have seen how we can create slicers into Power BI, how we can select multiple options from the slicer, and how we can change the slicer from a list to a drop-down menu. So this is what we have seen in our last video related to slicers. In this video, we will create a date slicer into Power BI. So there is a difference between the slicer that we have created into Power BI in our last video, and there will be a difference while we create a date slicer into Power BI. So let's go to the Power BI desktop and see how we can create a date slicer into Power BI. Okay, so I am into Power BI desktop and I will be using the same visualizations that we used in our previous video while creating the slicer. So if you see, this is the slicer that we have created in our previous video, and the slicer name was category, and basis this category, the numbers, the sales, the profit was changing. Okay, so now what we will do is we will create a date slicer and see what all options we get while working with date slicer into Power BI. Okay, so let me go to the slicer option here, select the slicer, let me take it here, and let me take the order date slicer and drag it here. Okay, so let me go to the format option, let me show the border, let me increase the size, let me take this here. Okay, so this is your date slicer, and if you see, it is giving me an option of the start date and end date of the total order date that we have into this report. Okay, so if I click on this, it gives me an option of a calendar where you can just go and select any of the date basis the selections. So if I click here, it is giving me option to select any of the dates that I want. So it will be, this option is basically for the start date, and if I click on this option, it will be the end date that you want to select. Okay, so this is the very first option that allow us to select the date. You can also scroll this option and select the date according to you. The start date, you can also select to the end date option and select the date that you want. Okay, so this is the very first option that is by default available if you are working with dates on slicers into Power BI. Okay, however, this might change depend upon the data type of your dates into Power BI. So if your data types of date into Power BI is a text, it will by default give you the dates into a list format. Okay, so this is the very first thing that we need to keep in our mind while working with dates into Power BI. So if the date format is in text, convert that into a data type which is feasible for our dates. Okay, so once the data type is converted into a date format, and when you select a slicer, it will by default give you this option, a scroll option, wherein you can just select the start date, end date, and your numbers on this visuals will change accordingly. Okay, so if you see, if I just scroll this here, now when I change the date, it is giving me as 2013 and 2014 basis this date. Okay, so this is the option, the very first option you get when you select the date into the slicer. So now let's go and see what all options we get while working with date. So in our previous video, when we created the category slicer, we got only two options, which was our list and the drop down. So let's see what all options we get with dates when we work. So if you see, if I just hover to this drop down, it is asking me to select the type of slicer. If I click on this, you see I get lot many options to work with my date slicer. Okay, it's giving me the between date, which is the this date option. So it is asking me to select the date between start date and end date. It gives me an option of before. So what happened if I click on before? So you see the start date is disabled. So what you can do is you can just work with your end date and select the scroller accordingly. So what will happen is when we select the option, when we select this option as before, so whatever is the last date in the extract, basis that last date, it will ask you to select the date before the last date. Okay, so if I just scroll this from here on the left hand side, so I will get the numbers from 2011 till 2013. Okay, so if I scroll more, I'm getting numbers from 2011 and 2012. So this is the option. If I select before, so it will ask me to select the dates before the end date, that before the last date that is available in the extract. Okay, similarly if I click on after, it will be the opposite of before. So what will happen here is your start date, whatever is the first date in your extract, it will ask you to select the date after that particular date. So if you can see, your end date is freezed now, and just basis the start date you can select the slicer accordingly. So my start date is 4th of January 2011. So after 4th of January I can select any of the date, and my last date in the extract is 31st/12/2014. So that will be the same. So now if you see, the data or the visualization that is changed is purely based on 29th April 2012 till 31st of 12/2014. Okay, so if I scroll it more, and if I take this as, okay, let's take this as 23rd of Jan 2013. So your date is 23rd of Jan and your end date is 31st of December 2014. So this is how you can select the option. Let's see the another option. It is the list. Again, it will give you the list of dates that are available, and basis this list of date, if I select any of the date, I will get the details basis that particular date. Okay, again this date are now selected single, this is a single select date. If I want to select multiple dates, then I have to go to the format, go to the selection control and select all option to do a multi-select. So now if you see, I have clicked on select all option, it is giving me select all option, and basis this, if I select all, I will get the entire data. If I unselect all and if I just select few numbers or few dates, it will give me details basis the date that I have selected. Okay, so this is the list form of your dates. Now let's see the other option. It's giving me the drop down. Okay, so now again, instead of a list, it is giving me the drop down, and again I can select any of the dates that I want. Okay, the other option is your relative date. So if I click on this relative date, this is pretty much interesting. Okay, so what happened is it's asking me to select the list. So whether what you want to see, whether you want to see the last, whether you want to see the next, or whether you want to see this current. Okay, so similar, it's like your past, future and present. So this is how you can treat this as. Last is again, if you want to see the data of last month, if you want to see the data for last year, last quarter, whatever you want, you can select this. Next is again for your future. If you have any future date, like example, I want to see a forecasting for next 3 months, you can select this option. And if you want to see for the current month, current year, current week, you can select this option and it will give you the details. Okay, here it will ask you for the numbers. So let's say an example, we will select last, and let's say we'll take this 5, and it will give me the option to select what I want to see, whether I want to see for years, I want to see for months, I want to see for weeks, I want to see for days. So if I select last 5 years, so it gives you two options in here. It gives you the calendar option as well as the year option. So let's take a calendar year. If I select the last 5 calendar years, I'm not getting any data. Why? Because the data that is available in this extract is from 2011 till 2014. And if I select 5 years from here, it won't give me the details. So let's increase this 5 from 5 to 8. Let's see what happened if we can get the dates. Still not giving us any date. Okay, it gave us 2 years. One is your 2013 and 2014. Let's take, instead of 8, let's take the last 10 years, and you will be able to see all the data or the last 10 years data in this particular format. Okay, so similarly, if I want to go and see for last 10 months or calendar months, we can select this option. If you want to see for last 10 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 weeks, you can select any of the option basis your requirement. Okay, so you can also get to see the dates which are reflecting here. So if I select the last 10 years, it is giving me as from when this is showing is from 1st of January 2011 till 31st of 12 2020. So this is the last 10 years that it is giving the data which is available in this report. Okay, the last option, let's see what is the last option. So the last option is basis the timing. Similarly, as we selected the date, year or month option we got when we played with the relative dates, it is giving me the option to select the minutes, hours, and to select the minute and hours. So if I want to see, so if your data is a real-time data, okay, so example, if you have connected your Power BI to a data source which get refreshed after every 5 minutes, 2 minutes, or whatever, if it's a real-time data, you can use this option to see how your performance is trending on hourly basis or on minutes. Okay, so if let's take an example, my data is a real-time data and I want to see for last 10 minutes what is the performance of last 10 minutes. So once I select last 10 minutes, so you can see the visuals have disappeared. Okay, because the data in this extract is only till 2014, so you will not be able to see of last 10 minutes. Okay, so as I said, if your data is a real-time data and you want to see like I want to see the data for last 1 hour, I can go and type 1 and select the hours, and I will get the data basis the selection that I have made. Okay, if I want to see for this hour, so it's not giving me any option because I want to see for current hour, it will give me the detail for current hour. But again, this depends upon the data or the extract that is loaded into Power BI. Okay, so these are the options of slicers that you can work with into Power BI. Okay, so there will be a video series on slicer as well, how we can create different types of slicer, a dynamic slicer which can connect to all the pages, how we can format these slicers. So there will be a video series that will be coming soon on this channel related to slicer, how we can create different slicers and how we can link it to the different pages on Power BI report. Okay, So that's all about in this video. Hope you like this video. Please comment below and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.